Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. This is going to be a real interesting video today. This happened. It's a story about this guy in later on the year after I had been ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut in 2012, around November 2012, the same year, later in the year. At that time, I was finding the pictures of the secret police. I'd gotten the police reports, saw that no police were listed as being at my home. I'm starting to figure stuff out. I was starting to get a lot of public attention too. And then all of a sudden, here's what happened, popped up in the news. This guy here, Jacob Ramos Esparza, okay, basically what he does, he's from Midland, okay, and that wasn't known for a while, but he drove to Mexico and went to a cafe, and then he issued threats back to Midland law enforcement, Pecos law enforcement. I'm going to read it to you, or parts of it, let you know that these threats that he issued. And I was looking at it and I'm thinking, what he was trying to do was trying to make it look like it was the cartel that was threatening the chief of police. And so I wondered if this wasn't connected back to the underground homes and the multiple murders and the crime ring and all that. And they're trying to divert attention and going, oh yeah, that's the cartel that's doing this, So it's this untouchable mystery secret crime ring from another country that nobody can arrest, And what it really was a guy from Midland that drove to Mexico trying to make it look that way, okay? And then I'm going to show you here, I'm going to show you how much time he got and how serious these threats were, okay? And so El Diablo, the man behind the threats made to local law enforcement, was in federal court on Thursday. Jacob Esparza was indicted on 8 charges. Here's what they are. Okay, it said he was formally charged with using the internet to threaten the lives of several law enforcement agencies. Esparza used the social forum website Topics. That's where he made some pretty horrendous threats. One threat was made against Sergeant Armando Garcia with the Pecos Police Department. Esparza offered up a reward for Garcia's head and threatened to send special forces to make soup of him. Another threat was made towards Sergeant Ben Chavez in Midland. Esparza threatened to cut his head off and feed it to the dogs, saying Chavez would be dead at the end of the year with the rest of his family. Okay. He also demanded Midland Police Chief Price Robinson resign or his family would be murdered on video and he would kidnap his daughter. Okay, now keep in mind, that was the chief of police when I'm ambushed and shot, my phone lines cut, and the secret police were caught on camera covering up the premeditated capital murder attempt in my life. Police that worked for him, for Robinson. El Diablo goes on to threaten to kill all police officers in Fort Stockton using bombs, chemical weapons, and large weapons. Then he posted violent YouTube videos saying, I don't want to play checkers anymore. I want to start playing chess. Here we go. El Diablo posted these threats back during the week of November 9th. Okay. It says one IP address used to make the threats was traced to an Apple store in El Paso. Another address was traced across the border in Juarez. And the IP address he used to post the YouTube video was from the Fort Stockton Public Library. Esparza was captured on November 28th in Pecos while sleeping in his car at a Flying J truck stop. Authorities found books on combat war and hazardous materials in his possession. He also tried to get his hands on radium, plutonium, and uranium. Okay, and so now let's back up, and I'm going to show you here. To give the short history here at this house. Okay, I come in here. I transferred into Midland with hope and excitement, with my company, a 25-year company, man. Previous homeowner died, but they told me it was an accident. That was Mike Lawhon. I now believe he was murdered here and then taken to Fort Worth. There's a lot of evidence, a whole big story on that. But I found out that he was telling his friends that people were breaking this house before he died, This guy, Rene Escobar Sanchez, he goes missing from Odessa 3 months before Mike Lawhon died, and this is in 2008. And the former neighbor, Marilyn DeLuigi, had told me, she said that somebody else had died here before Mike had, and I've wondered if that wasn't Rene, okay? And another guy, Aaron Packaholder, asked me if I knew the names of the 4 people who had been murdered, died in my house, okay? And then the young girl, the remains were found in 2013, and my friend Angie told me about a young girl murdered at the 2010 old show party, 5 minutes drive from my house, obviously in the underground homes here, probably the one in my backyard you can see on Google Maps. Multiple people have said they're here, including the guy that was running for sheriff, right? And then I'm ambushed and shot by, with burglar alarms going off in the attic and by somebody under my house. We now know police were under my house that night, and over 50 other homeowners across the nation documented reporting people in the attic. A dozen addresses here in Midland. Nobody's ever been arrested for any of these crimes. It's absolute lawlessness is what's going on. We've lost rule of law is what's happening. Okay, so there's the history. They have a lot of reason that they want to cover this up, these crime ring. And I think maybe what this deal was with this El Diablo was, this guy from Midland drives to Juarez and issues these threats against the chief of police, telling him to shut up, we're the cartel, when it wasn't a cartel, it was a guy from Midland. Okay, and so that's what I was speculating there. Okay. Of course, the whole thing is tied into this underground, these $4 million underground homes that were put in by the Bushes in the 80s, put in for the Bushes in the 80s. And, there was all kinds of details and multiple people documented saying there. You can see where the tunnel was cut coming from Home Depot towards my house. That was used for the people at the oil show parties. A little girl was murdered there in 2010. Whole bunch of stories here. Like I said, lots of reasons that they would want to try to blame somebody else, the cartel. Just a little bit on the night that I'm shot, okay, ambushed and shot. Okay, here I am crawling out. The reason I didn't call for help because they cut my phone lines. This was premeditated capital attempted murder. This picture, what I want to make a point of is notice that the headlights are on in my company car as I'm crawling out, okay? And then they get turned off. What happened is I screamed for help when I was out here. Help! And the people in the car heard me, and they shut the key off. Because when you turn the car on, then it automatically started the lights. It was a company car. That was how they set up the cars to run the lights all the time. And I believe that these criminals were waiting for me to die. They were part of the murder party. Okay, they were here waiting for me to die so they could go into my house and release the trapped burglar in the guest bathroom. Okay. And so I just want to show you that, that people were here, when I was crawling out. It's also timestamped January 28, 2012. And then 19 minutes later, we see on camera the first two secret police show up, okay? Took 6 years to get them identified. We found that the first one was a sheriff from a whole nother county, Martin County Sheriff John Woodward, and he was followed by the late Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor. I did a video yesterday about Naylor, dirty cop or hero. It is just amazingly lawlessness. They wasn't dispatched. Their names wasn't on the police report. They just happened to show up. And you know what? Let's be real. They were in the underground home when I was shot, right? And as soon as I crawled out, then they drove around and come to my front door. That's why they come to my house, And so I want to show you. And then they disabled at 11:22 my cameras. And this is the camera on this side of the house. This is the same camera. And what happened was the police showed up, Woodward and Naylor, and they turned the cameras, rotated it to look at the wall. So they effectively disabled the cameras. But before they did that, the police report that was illegally withheld for 7 years timestamped 5 police officers at my house, Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and L, and they wasn't seen arriving because Woodward and Naylor were seen arriving, but they wasn't. And what that meant is they were under my home in the underground home in the backyard, right? And they come in from the now removed trap door the ex-wife had told me about and from where I'd been shot. We're going over the history. Here was a big deal. A lot of people don't realize. This is what complicated it. When I got the police reports, they sent me the police reports for 129/12, okay? And what I noticed on that, January 29th, well, I was shot on January 28th, 12, okay, the day before. But I didn't get a police report for January 28th, 12. It was being illegally withheld. I didn't even know it existed for 7 years, okay? But so I did get this police report for 129/12, okay? And this police report showed no police at my home, I mean, the only thing was here, they did a test call. So it looks like they bugged my phones, it's about the only thing that looks like happened. But there was no police listed in my home on January 29th, 12. So, I mean, I was telling people forever that police were at my home, and they wasn't on the police report. Because, see, here's 129/12. That's when they were at my home, was 129/12. 7 years later, when I got the police report, this entry for these police was on the 12812 police report that they'd illegally withheld. Of course, 6 of their 11 names was missing, and that's what timestamped them officers being under my house, etc. So these are the pictures of the secret police in my house. They had tried to disable this camera, accidentally started it, and they didn't know they were caught on camera. And see, they were trying to stage this crime scene of this murder attempt. They never planned on anybody, knowing they were in my house, and this camera was taking pictures, And what they'd done, they had accidentally started the camera working. The camera, when they tried to disable it, they accidentally started working. I give God all the credit for that. I think it's a miracle. You know what I mean? These right here are the dirty of the dirty. This was a premeditated, cold-blooded murder is what it was. God saved my life. These cops are in here staging the crime scene, never planning on anybody knowing they were inside my home, right? They were withholding the police report, okay? It took 7 years to get it. See this? Look at how he's having a great time. There's no telling how many people they've murdered. Literally, and how many times they've tampered with the evidence, lied on police reports. When you have a large group of police that are working together to commit capital crimes, I don't know how it can get any scarier. And then they're still police. That's what's so amazing here is nothing's changed. They've probably done this 1,000 times and got away with it. And because it's the perfect crime gang right here. There's April Chandler. She's stealing evidence from my home. There was evidence stolen from my home, evidence that I told the police about. They went to my home and stole it. I said, there's proof at my house. There's proof at my house. They went to my home and they stole the proof. There's Chandler again, April Chandler, and this is Rosie Rodriguez right next to her here. Like I said, they didn't know the camera was taking pictures. Okay, and so here, this one's a real important one because this one shows Rosie Rodriguez leaned over my nightstand, leaned over it, and April Chandler is standing next to her, okay? This is towards the end of the pictures. All the other police are out of the room, and I found my stolen cell phone behind this nightstand that she's leaned over. I believe she's planting my cell phone behind that stand because my cell phone was stolen and my home phone lines were cut before I was shot. They planned on me bleeding out and dying, right? But then I crawled out and lived, and so she went and planted it. And it looks like they waited for the other police to leave my room first, and then she planted because when I got back from the hospital, I found my stolen cell phone behind that nightstand, and I found this picture of Rosie Rodriguez. And then she made up a lie on the police report, said Buddy said that his battery was dead on his phone, and Buddy never said that. Actually, my battery on my cordless phone was fully charged, and the only reason I had my cordless phone because my cell phone was stolen, the one that she's planting. And so she was excuse making because she knew that. Okay, and there's a picture of Rosie Rodriguez. Like I said, as far as I'm concerned, this is the dirty of the dirty right here. Premeditated, cold-blooded murder. A citizen that was reporting crimes to police, right? I'm shot during a burglary. What I didn't know is the police were involved in committing the burglaries, okay? So that gives you the history there. And let's get back to El Diablo, okay? These threats, this one did right. They said he did it on topics. I don't know if I read that. He was gonna make soup of Garcia, kidnap Chief Robinson's daughter, murder his family, etc. But here I want to show you here. I think it's on this one. Oh no, sentenced. Okay, he got 2 years. After all them threats, he got 2 years in prison. I think that makes a big statement in itself, don't you think after these threats, he's going to, he's trying to get bomb-making material. He's threatened to cut off the head of a police officer, threatened to murder the family of the chief of police of the secret police, right? And then all of a sudden he just gets 2 years. I got red flags on that one, don't y'all? Talk to you later.